Hey guys, my name is Z. In today's video, we are diving into how I edited the dance short film. If you haven't watched part 1 of the behind the scenes where I discussed the shooting process, make sure to check it out. This is part 2, where we'll focus on the post-production, and I've divided it into 8 steps. Step 1, organizing files. I start each project the same way, which is managing my files, importing necessary assets, and pre-arranging folders using project templates. If you haven't watched my video on project templates, please do check it out. It'll save you so much time. Step 2, first cut. With all my footage imported, I began with the first cut. As mentioned in part 1, I recorded and edited the interview weeks before shooting the additional footage. I already had that sequence, so I started to integrate the new footage while syncing it with music. This involved deciding on the shots to use and the shots to kill. With the first cut, it's nothing intense. The goal is to keep it easy and open to change. Step 3, refining the cut. Here I duplicated the first rough cut just so that I have a safety net. Then I went on to create a more refined version. Here I specified my choices, I labeled selections, and I fine-tuned the edits, including sound design and some transitions here and there. Step 4, color grading. I exported my timeline and imported it in DaVinci Resolve and proceeded with color grading. Even though I knew that this was not the final sequence, I also knew that most of the shots were going to be in the final cut. So this was more to get my color grade settings saved already. For color grading, I always keep it simple. I switch my project setting to DaVinci YRGB color managed. This helps to automatically detect the color space of my footage and convert it into a common color space, therefore simplifying the color grading process, especially for someone like me who's not a colorist. In simple terms, guys, it just turns your footage from this into this. That's all you need to know. I then also focus on drawing attention to the subject, like darkening the top and bottom parts of some of the frames to highlight the subject, which in our case was the dancer. I also removed any unwanted yellow tints from walls and surfaces, preferring a cleaner, almost grayish look on any wall. This was more of a personal preference. I actually do this with almost anything that I edit, even pictures. I also added a glow effect on most of the shots. It complemented the look that I already had since I used a Moment Cinebloom filter on my lenses, so it helped to soften those highlights even more. And some of the shots I actually used the light rays effect, and I must say it's a pretty cool effect. It really works well, and I think the key thing to it is to not use too much of it. Like, just decrease the intensity as much as you can. You just want it to enhance. You don't want it to like change the overall look. Step 5, first draft. After the refined cut and grading, I export what I call my first draft and sleep on it. I find it helpful to take breaks and return with fresh eyes, and that break for me is sleep. I feel it's a good enough reset to allow my mind to distance itself from absolute thinking whilst editing. This is crucial because I find that when I start editing, I usually have blinders on and purely focused on the initial vision that I would have had for the project. But in reality, sometimes what you envisioned might not be the best approach in post, which is why we always end up having to decide which shots to use and which shots to kill. So I went to sleep. Step 6, second draft. The next day, I reviewed the rough cut and started to incorporate new ideas, which 9 out of 10 times when I do this, I'll always have new ideas on the next day. I started adjusting clip lengths and adding new elements. I made some clips shorter because I probably would have felt that, look, this is too long. I made some clips faster or slower just to have a little bit of dynamics here and there. And then I went and applied the saved color grades to the updated clips and exported the second draft. Step 7, final touches. I went into After Effects and added some graphics. I debated on what I wanted the end to look like, so I was playing around with some text, and it's just easier for me to actually animate text in After Effects. I could have done it in Premiere Pro, but I just like the extra controls that you get in After Effects. I ended up settling with just the text "Keep Dancing" along with the 2 logos. Thereafter, I rendered everything and reviewed the second draft with my wife, and she strongly felt I could still add something. Guys, who needs enemies when you spend hours editing and the only thing your wife has to say after you show her what you're editing is, "I feel like you can add something." Hey bana. Anyways, I decided to sleep on it again. Step 8, additional elements. In other words, something. The next day, it was time to add something. On the dance class scene, I added some doodles, which I feel added a cool touch. This frame by frame doodling took some time for me because 1, I'm not great at it, and 2, I was doing it by mouse inside After Effects. My understanding is that it's faster if you use a tablet, and you can use plugins via Photoshop to have even better strokes and brushes, which I didn't do. However, all in all, I think it added something. I also added a black and white effect to emphasize the doodles and included some film grain in there. This effect is actually credit to King Nehale, good friend of mine who introduced it to me some months ago, so shout out to you, bro. For the flyover shot, I searched for free stock graffiti images on my go-to free stock site, Pexels. I think that's how you call it, pexels.com. And because the shot was a static shot, I did not have to track anything. I simply exported the frame from Premiere Pro, used it as a background in Photoshop, and I edited the graffiti on. Once I was done, I exported it as a PNG and went on to blend it in the scene inside Premiere Pro. Then I just added an adjustment layer to have a zoom in effect so that it just adds a little bit of realism to it. This added more production value, I think. And I suppose thanks to my wife, I added something. And that's it. After these final tweaks, I was happy with the results. The entire process of editing, color grading, and adding special effects made the film what it is. I hope you guys enjoyed watching it, and thank you for watching this as well. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more behind the scenes content or closely related content, really. My name is Z, and see you on the next one. Cheers.